We talked to Gila Kurtz about her journey and wisdom around building the brand Dog is Good. We talk about the origination of her pop up stores, entrepreneurial opportunities with Dog is Good. We talk about mindset, working within the world of possibilities, and lessons learned from dogs. Let's jump right into this week's episode of the LA Business Podcast. Welcome to the LA Business Podcast, your destination to hear stories of how businesses grow and scale. I'm Robert Brill, CEO of Brill Media and the host of this podcast. Now, let's jump right into this week's interview. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the LA Business Podcast. Today our guest is Gila Kurtz, co-founder of Dog is Good. Gila is the #1 international best-selling author and serial entrepreneur who found her deepest passion working with dogs and their people. Gila co-founded the award-winning lifestyle brand for dog lovers, Dog is Good. And along with her husband, John, Gila took the brand from the startup phase to multiple seven figures. Thanks for being on our show today, Gila. I really appreciate it. Tell us about Dog is Good and why you started it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Robert, for spending some time with me. So Dog is Good. We've been in business for a little over a decade. And quite honestly, it just started with an idea of wanting to expand upon the relationship that people have with their dogs. And we wanted to create something that reminded people on a daily basis how great dogs make us feel. And we did that with a variety of products, from gifts, apparel, home decor, accessory products for the human at the other end of the leash. And over the past decade, we are manufacturers. We sell primarily wholesale into retailers all over the country. We have a phenomenal business opportunity for dog lovers through our Dog is Good pop-up shop program. And we also license the brand to many manufacturers who use our designs on their products. And we just love doing this.
That's amazing. And so how do you go from an idea to something that's real? Like what are the kind of like the big milestone steps that you take?
Yeah, it's such a great question, because really when you come up with an idea, all sorts of things come up for you, right? The how to do this and what is it going to look like and all of these things. And that actually was just not really the way that it came about for us. We came up with the idea, and then immediately we moved from the state of Washington to the state of California. And that idea got kind of tucked away for about 10 months because we were getting settled here. My husband was at the time in the United States Navy. He was the commanding officer of the Naval Weapons Station here in Seal Beach, California. And I was trying to get my daughter acclimated to the location. But I'm also a professional dog trainer, which is something that I continue to do today. And I immediately was starting my training program with some local community members, and walked into a client's home wearing a simple Dog is Good hat. And she looked at me and said, "Oh my gosh, I have got to have that hat. Where did you get that hat?" And it was that moment of validation, right? Where you have someone outside of yourself or outside of your immediate family who is excited about something that you've created. And I went home and immediately was like, "John, we have got to launch this business." And so that was the catalyst for everything. And then it was just a matter of sitting down, deciding what we wanted our logo to look like and what the brand feel would be like. But I will share with you that the whole thing has been a work in progress, an involvement based on growing out of this unconscious incompetent state, right? We didn't know what we didn't know at the very beginning. And through trial and error, learning along the way, seeking out mentorship and guidance, has evolved into what it is today.
And so as you're thinking about the business, 2 years into, like, how long, let me ask you, how long have you had this business overall?
Yeah, it's been a little over 12 years.
12 years. Okay. So what are the
Yes.
key milestones, like 1 or 2 years in, 3 or 4? What are some of the points that were lessons that you learned that you're like, man, I wish I would have learned this sooner?
Yeah, I think the biggest lesson that I wish I had learned sooner, well, there's two that probably go hand in hand. Number one was to really get some clarity around what success looked like for me personally, and also for the business. Secondly, would be never to worry about the how, just seek the who. Who would have the answer to what we need to know so we could shortcut our way and not have to do a lot of things through trial and error? Those were two things that I wish I was a little bit more privy to early on. I also think that it is really critical to be super clear on your vision. So not only what does success look like to you, but what is it that one is creating? Because if you do not have a bigger picture vision to use as the roadmap, then it's very difficult. You're just kind of moving along, right? And those were the three core things that I wish I had known early on.
And
Vision.
go ahead, vision, and what were the other two?
Yeah, the vision, really defining what success looked like for me personally, and then the business, because two very separate things. And then finally, seeking out the who versus trying to figure out the how.
And what has been the vision for the business ultimately?
Well, the vision for the business, and I get super excited when I think about it, is we seek to be, for dog lovers, what Harley Davidson is to the motorcycle enthusiast. All things top of mind for products, services, and experiences. And with all of the things that we currently do, the initial mission was to remind people how great they feel in the presence of dog. We often talk about the first 2 minutes home, and all dog lovers get this when they're out and about, even if they just run out for getting their mail these days, or if they've been gone all day or on a trip. Those first 2 minutes in the door are priceless. And every dog lover completely understands what I'm talking about. It is such a powerful experience. And we saw our product line as truly just the tangible elements that would create the feeling that we were trying to recreate again and again and again for the person. And as the years have evolved, that mission has expanded even more so, that we want to be a brand that is also known for its ability to change lives one dog at a time. And that is through the way that we interact with our customers, the way that we contribute back to the world through our nonprofit, and the way that we enhance the lives of other dog lovers through collaboration in opportunity and elevate them in their own passions for dogs as a way to have fun, make money, etc., and make a difference in the world around them.
And so, as you start the business, what do you focus on? Do you focus on design? Do you focus on manufacturing? Do you focus on marketing? Like, how does an entrepreneur get started on this journey and do something effective and not worry about or not get drawn back by the challenges? I think a lot of that might be mindset. Or what do you when you're starting out in the first year, 2, 3, 5? What do you focus on?
Well, again, not knowing what I know today, at the
Yeah.
time, the starting out point really was, let's create some designs and let's test them and take them to market by sharing our products at local community events where we could be in front of the actual dog lover and get feedback, right? So it was, let's design stuff, then let's make it. We'll figure out how to make it, and then let's figure out how to sell it. Now, obviously, as you start to gain traction, and we did gain traction very quickly, the brand completely resonated with people almost instantaneously. And so that was exciting as well. But as it has evolved, we begin to see, like, really there is a process. What is the story that we want to tell? It's not just, let's just come up with design after design after design. That's easy. But what is the story that we want to tell? The brand, the things that we create are really just a tangible that tie into a much bigger thing. We know that dogs change the way people see the world, and we know the deep emotional level to which they interact with their dogs, and what they seek in terms of life and lifestyle in connection with their dogs. And so we had to get very clear on what is the story that we are sharing, and what is the message that we want to get out in the world, that we're not just a t-shirt company. I mean, that is a core product of what we sell, but we give people the opportunity to share with the rest of the world the life that they live in a relationship that is very different from the human to human relationships that they have. And so then it becomes a puzzle of, what is the message via the marketing? How do we get the brand and the information out there? What is the measures by which we're going to create designs, the look, the feel, the end intent with the consumer in terms of evoking an emotional response. And then what are the channels that we're going to sell this through? And we have many channels that we have for the product line. But the end result really is creating a community and having the community continue to perpetuate the message, and through that, the company can continue to grow and grow through impact.
Okay, a lot of places to go with that. I guess one question is, was there a tipping point in your business where you thought, "Oh man, this is really picking up steam"? And if there was, what was that and what happened?
Yes, yes, there was actually. So this is another lesson that we learned, and you mentioned the word mindset early on. A lot of people have an idea and they want to launch their business, and they get excited and they get going, but they'll come up against certain roadblocks. And one of the challenges I think that we had early on, although it wasn't apparent, like this was not an obvious thing, but in hindsight, looking back, I'm like, oh, we were thinking so small. And, a lot of that comes from subconscious thinking and whatnot. And what I mean by that is we were only operating initially at local events, and people were telling us, you really need to be in stores. This brand needs to be in stores. And we were thinking like, oh, well, how do we get into stores, right? We go to trade shows, and we looked at the process to do that. And we questioned, like, are we ready for this? Can we do this? And, we do have this conscious belief in ourselves and what we're doing, but we didn't move quickly on that. Once we went into the wholesale market, we started to gain some traction, but it required some consistency, right? A lot of stores hadn't thought about products that were really for the dog lover. They were so focused on the pet because that's really where we started. Although we're not a pet company, we really are in every kind of vertical you can imagine. But about year 3 is when it started to take off. And it was one of those moments where it just as my client and now friend provided validation for me that this was a viable idea with a simple hat that only said dog is good.
Mhm.
There was validation for retailers as they saw other retailers beginning to bring the brand in and have success with it, right? So then you get that those early adopters, and then ultimately that critical mass, and that's exactly what happened. So about year 3, it started to snowball, and it really did explode quite quickly from there.
And so tell us about the licensing. You're with Skechers and a number of other brands. Tell us about, I guess, how that has impacted your business.
Yeah, the licensing, it's, everything is an ecosystem if you want to consider it. So the our own online e-commerce and through Amazon is one vertical that creates brand awareness, particularly the Amazon. The wholesale, seeing it in stores, grows interest. Other manufacturers see the designs like, wow, we want to get into pet. We want to have designs that resonate with the dog lover. So they bring on the products, which then go through their distribution channels on their own products, not ours, but they're using our designs for their products,
Mhm.
which also then creates additional brand recognition for Dog is Good. And we're so grateful. We often have people reach out to us like, I saw this. Are they knocking you off? And I have to share like, oh, it's a licensee, or, oh, whoops, they are knocking us off, and get our lawyers involved because we have heavy copyrights and trademarks throughout our line. But everything really is an ecosystem. And then the other thing that was really interesting, and I have to highlight this because to me, it takes what we do to a real human level. And it is something that happened organically when we were doing our initial pop-ups ourselves, when we were taking products to events here in California. I had a friend come visit me from Virginia and spend 3 days at an event while she watched as people went nuts for the line, and turned to me at the end of the week and was like, I have got to do this. Like, this was so much fun, and I would love to have this as a business myself. And so she became our very first Dog is Good pop-up. as we call them
Hmm.
now. Now, because she and her husband gained tremendous success right out of the gate, they started traveling to different parts of the country and people saw them. And organically, we would receive phone calls. Hey, I just saw this couple with your brand. I want to be able to do that. How can I do that? And so in 2017, in the fall of 2017, we officially launched the Dog is Good pop up program, which was designed for dog lovers who wanted to have either a side hustle or a career change, et cetera, but to be able to have an opportunity in collaboration with our brand that they could follow their own passions for dogs, give them an opportunity to make good on their philanthropic goals, have impact in their communities and in animal welfare, and be part of a really amazing go-giver community of like-minded dog lovers. And so for the past couple of years, that particular program has really evolved, and it really drives the heart of our business because we get to get very connected with these entrepreneurs and help them thrive at whatever goals they set for themselves. And it's just been so rewarding.
Can you tell us more about the pop-up program? Like, is it an opportunity for local communities to sell your products, or tell us about that?
Yeah. So obviously, anybody who wants to do this is obviously a dog lover,
Yeah.
and it is for any individual, community, or organizations that want to participate. But the essence of it is creating a mobile pop-up shop with our brand. So they're starting their business. It's their own business name. They are doing business as an authorized reseller of Dog is Good. We teach them how to set up the pop-up shop, what it needs to look like. They're doing these pop-ups at local events in their community, or they're traveling to events around the country because they want to make a vacation out of it, or whatever that case may be. And we coach them. We have a whole strategic coaching plan to help them launch. They're getting our products. They're reselling them to dog lovers, and then they're creating their own events. So they're showing up as partners for retail stores by doing trunk shows as ways to get retailers to bring more people and more traffic into their retail stores. They're doing fundraising events, and most of the pop-ups are actually all of them are very focused on their giving program. And so they give back, and they get the products from us. They resell them, and they're also part of a community. So it's just they're in business for themselves, but they're not in business by themselves.
So you've published a book called Fur Covered Wisdom: A Dog Can Change the
Yes.
Way You
You see the
See the
world.
World.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about the book and what it covers and why you wrote it.
Yeah. Well, I wrote it because, Greg McKeown said in his book, Essentialism, success can often be the catalyst for failure. And that was a quote that really stood out to me. And the reason it resonated was because as quickly as this company grew and as successful as it became by most people's definition of success, revenues and growth and things like that, I woke up feeling each day very disillusioned and very unhappy and unfulfilled. And I really couldn't quite understand why. And that's why I go back to, I wish I had more clarity in the very beginning of defining how I was going to be on a daily basis, and not allow the business to run me, but to be in control of my life and enjoy my business as part of it. And that was a learning process. And so the year that I wrote the book was a year that we also took on the role of puppy raisers for Leader Dogs for the Blind. As a professional trainer, I was like, instead of giving money to sponsor them, let's just bring a dog in and we'll raise it publicly and raise funds for them and create awareness for their program. And that was such a gift and a challenge all at the same time. I think it was the final, type A people take on so much. And I am definitely one of those people. And so it was that moment that created a lot of chaos for me in my life. And that book, there was this decision I made one morning watching this amazing yellow lab wake up, and just with such pure joy. And I was like, wow, there's dogs just do that naturally. Why can't people? And certainly, why can't I? And what would it take? And so I made a commitment to just kind of live my life vicariously through her as a way to pull myself out of a dark depression, the get out of my head on the should do's, have to be's, all these things, and just kind of reprogram myself and where I was at. And so for Covered Wisdom is a focus on the anecdotal lessons that we learn from our dogs each and every day, and the application of that in transforming one's paradigm and one's daily actions to grow into a person who does feel joy and can make a difference. And I, from that book, created a program for dog lovers, a dog-centric approach to self-leadership called Alpha Reimagine. And that is going to be my next book that's going to be coming out soon.
I was just going to ask you about it. Tell us about Alpha Reimagine. It sounds very interesting.
Well, thank you. Alpha Reimagined is just that. So in the world of dogs, we know that the alpha is the lead, right? The lead dog. One thing I believe very strongly is that we often focus outside of ourselves when the work needs to be done inside. And so if we can master the art of self-leadership, i.e. Alpha Reimagine, just to reimagine showing up for yourself in a different way. If we could treat ourselves, speak to ourselves, look at the world in the same way that we look at our dogs and treat our dogs and care for our dogs, et cetera, we can make a bigger difference. First for ourselves, first and foremost, and then secondly, have greater impact in the world around us, the immediate people that we connect with on a daily basis, and then even the ripple effect from that. And so my passion project has always been to help people just step into just living life the way that they should, to be more authentic and just to stay aligned with their purpose. So that's what Alpha Reimagined is about.
I love it. And so tell us a little bit about the last year and a half. COVID has been challenging for a lot of people. And I imagine, you know, I can see the possibility where business was actually really good for you over the last year and a half, but I don't know. Tell us about
Yeah.
what happened as people were staying home.
Yeah. You know, those first few days when the country was shutting down, I used to be ashamed to admit this, but I'm just going to be real because, I mean, why not? I secretly was grateful for the slowdown. I welcomed the chance to just stop and breathe for a moment. And that felt very refreshing. And I will say that 2020 was most definitely a year that gave my everything about me, my head, my body, my soul, spirit, everything, a chance to just rest for a little bit and really come back, you know, be rejuvenated. And through that, we know, you know, being a company that sells into retail stores and a company who supports a number of business owners that build their business through live events, clearly, yeah, we were definitely affected. But here's the thing, and this is just the way I live, it's the way my husband lives. And because we are so similar in this regard, and I say in this regard because we are like complete opposites, which I think is why the company as leaders has done so well. We so complement each other for the business. But anyway, in this one piece, though, we are so aligned. And that is, we come from a place of possibility always. Like there was never like, oh no, what are we going to do? It was more like, oh my gosh, what do we get to do now? What's possible? And that was the question that we kept asking ourselves. And so I never felt anything but excitement around possibility. And in that moments of creativity, we decided to take action on something that was happening organically with that pop-up program. We had so many people reaching out to us because they would see these pop-ups and we would get phone calls saying, hey, I want to do something with your company, but I don't want to have to carry all that inventory. Is there something else that I can do? Because those pop-ups look like a store, right?
Sure.
And then they just move from place to place. So we came up with an idea to support that. And it's also now evolved into the back-end support for our existing pop-up shops. We created a new division called Dig Direct. And Dig Direct makes it possible for the dog lover to have access to a fully operational website, their own e-commerce, We manage all of the inventory here. We do all the shipping and the customer care support for them. We create marketing campaigns and all the assets that they need to run an online business. And then we created an affiliate program to enhance their ability to have VIP customers and generate additional revenue as people would share out their websites. And so now that the country is opening again, the pop-ups have access to their e-commerce site as well, to their special VIP super fans is what we call them, customer program. And so they can be continuing to build their businesses, not just based on where they are at that particular moment, but post every event or post anything that they do by driving traffic to their online stores and by cultivating and supporting their super fans. So that's what we did in 2020, and we got all that launched, and now things are starting to open up again. We're actually quite busy, which we're very pleased and grateful for.
Lots of, it's interesting. Lots of innovation tends to happen in times of stress, and it sounds like
Yes.
that has happened with you. Well, tell us about the marketing and advertising that you do that is particularly valuable for you and the companies that you support.
Yeah, quite honestly, the marketing that we do is primarily through our communities via Facebook, our Facebook groups. We have a wonderful and active Dog is Good lifestyle group. I want to encourage everybody who's a dog lover to join that. It's an open group. And then that's primarily where we do most of our advertising. We don't do a lot of print advertising for those kinds of things. And then with our pop-ups, I mean, organically, it's a win-win because we are as they are representing the brand, basically, their pop-ups look like a Dog is Good mini store, if you will. The more and more people get to see and experience what the message is, and the conversations that we have with them are how to grow the community. This is a movement. It's a movement of people who not only love dogs but who want to do good. And I find that most dog lovers are like that, whether it's wanting to support animal welfare or other causes that are important to them. And so changing lives one dog at a time is really important. And then we just got approved back in April, the 501c3 nonprofit. One of our pop-ups, who is just amazing, so heart-centered. She has put so much time and effort into the development of this. Her name's Leslie Mate out of Chicago. And she personally put all the items together required to have this nonprofit. Dog is Good for Good. And our mission with Dog is Good for Good is to support any organization where people are helping dogs who in turn help people. We see it as this full circle of life, of giving. And so Pet Partners is our first organization that we are raising funds and focusing on for the next quarter. But that's what we are striving to do. And for anybody that is interested in donating to that cause, you can just do dogisgoodforgood.org and learn all about that there.
So Gila, tell us how people can find you and plug your website and anything else you want to plug, really.
Well, thanks, Robert. I appreciate that. So as a dog lover, you can certainly visit dogisgood.com. You will find a plethora of products to delight you for yourself or for the dog lovers in your life or for the veterinarians, pet walkers, pet sitters, etc. You can also learn about the pop-up shop program if you yourself have considered or thought about, gosh, how could I start a business doing something like this? We not only have the products for the humans, but we are working to create a very extensive nutritional and health wellness line specifically for the pets too. So there's some fun things coming up down the pike. And if you're interested, just fill out the form and we'll just spend 15 minutes getting to know each other in a conversation. That's the pop-up program.
That's on the website. You can,
if you go to the website, just go down to the bottom and click pop-up program, and you can learn about it. And if it's not for you, then you might know somebody who might be interested in. We're excited. We're very selective. I will say this. This is not like we want we spend a lot of time supporting and really cultivating each person's success. So we are eager to just meet anybody who's interested exploring it. And then the Dog is Good lifestyle group on Facebook is a wonderful community of like-minded dog lovers. You can find us on Instagram. We have a great Instagram as well. And then if anybody has organizations where you would enjoy a speaker on personal growth, inspiration, I speak a lot on fur covered wisdom and the alpha reimagined content. And so I would be delighted to share those words of wisdom to your audience as well.
Very cool. Gila Kurtz, co-founder of Dog is Good. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Robert, for the chance to share. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the LA Business Podcast. If you like what we're doing on this podcast, please consider subscribing on Apple or Google Play, leaving a 5-star review, and sharing with your friends. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations for a guest you'd like to hear on this podcast, please email me, robert@brillmedia.co. Thank you. Have a fantastic day.